Hey, welcome to 23 Degrees Sideways. We had a storm last night. It was pretty impressive. Kind of golf ball size squishy hail, so it wasn't the rock hard stuff. So the van has survived. We, of course, discovered a couple new leaks, and that's something you have to deal with. If your rig, whatever it is more than 2 years old, 3 years old, maybe if you've got good quality, 5 years old, you have leaks. You're going to have to find them. You're going to have to seal them. Just the window goop for the cutout for the RV windows in a custom van or a trailer or anything, you're going to have those problems. So you may not notice in a light rain. You probably won't notice until you hit a storm like last night. Last night was 45 mile an hour winds, at times 50, 45, 50, like the gusts hit. The weather report says it got really bad. Golf ball size hail. Everything was just slammed for a while. I was in the ocean with Pirate 3, and we saw it coming in. We saw the weather change, and I'm like, hey, it's time to go. She, of course, is like, hey, no, let's watch the storm. And I'm like, stand up, get out of the water for a minute. I'm like, you notice how the air temperature just dropped below the water temperature? The water's in the mid 70s out here. And she's like, oh. I'm like, see how everything got dark? Maybe we should go. So one thing to do when you're out living in the weather is read the weather, do stuff. Then it's when the storm finally hit, it was windy for a while, it didn't rain for a while. There was lightning everywhere. There was rain off in the distance. We got hit, pretty hard. We discovered a couple new leaks that we haven't, we've had 1, 2 that we know we need to fix long term. The front windshield, as soon as we get a good weather day, has been the thing we've been waiting for to do the reseal on the top. Now today we should be able to do it. One of the rear windows, the butyl tape that goes under the glass panel is a little bit old, and so we're gonna have to do all of the solid windows at some point. But one of the RV windows leaked last night, just depth of the storm. If your rig is older than a couple of years, you're going to have a leak. You're going to have to pay attention to it and clean it up. This is life. If your rig is more than, say, 10 years old, even if you don't have custom windows, something's going to leak. And you got to pay attention to it. There's things you can do, extra weather stripping in your doors, where the rubber tends to collapse and get hard and old after a while. AT 505, AT 205. There's a product. It starts with AT and something 05. It's expensive, and it's made for refreshing the rubber in your automatic transmission seals. But it's the only rubber refreshing product I've ever seen that actually refreshes rubber. And you can just put it on a rag or put it on something and just go around and do all of the rubber with that. It helps. For seals, there's videos online about how the door seals are actually rubber that's hollow and it squishes and it expands, but sometimes they just get flat. So people will put foam insulation tubing, like stuff that you wrap pipes in or something like that, foam straws, that kind of stuff, into the tubing to make it stand out better. It's probably worth the couple of hours to do. I haven't had to do that with this van yet. All of the leaks have been something else. But I might have to get to it. A door seal kit is also an option, but that's kind of hard to do, especially for an older vehicle or custom settings. With the custom windows, the RV windows, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to get some caulking, whatever it is. It's probably going to be silicone. And you're going to have to squeeze it in there. And most people who do that don't do a very neat job. What I'm going to suggest is that you actually get the black gasket stuff. It's going to cost you a couple more dollars to do it this way. Depends on how many windows you have. And cut the tube just the right way. It doesn't go in a caulking gun. You might be able to find the black stuff for a caulking gun. I haven't yet. This is actually gasket maker stuff, like adhesive sealant. Get a thin thing, get it really in there, squish it in there, and then use a gloved finger and just like smooth it out, make it look good. Then when it dries, it doesn't have any gaps, it doesn't have any spots that are going to collect dirt or water to freeze or something, and it's going to look at least like semi-professional, because I see a lot of the seal jobs where it's just clear silicone, it's just spooged everywhere, and it just doesn't really look good. There's one spot of that on this van that I have to clean up and redo. So that's just something to consider, is get the black stuff that matches the black trim, and it'll look better. If you get to a point where you're selling the van, that's going to make a huge difference, potentially hundreds of dollars of difference, or potentially just the sell versus no sell difference in terms of appearance. Okay. And when you smooth it out with your finger and you make sure there's no gaps and everything's filled, you really don't have any leaks anymore, instead of just having half fixed it. So that's the advice for today. I've got a lot of videos I'm kind of making, and I'm going to be putting them up because right now, with the moderated internet access, there's just going to be a backlog, and stuff is going to go up when it does. I do need to talk about Lester Levinson. I might do that in a different video because this one is a little more technical about the van. So that's coming sometime in my upload queue very soon. I'll probably do it right after this. What else? We actually survived the storm pretty well. Stuff got wet, nothing got damaged. The black bins with the yellow lids that we have for holding our stuff, they did okay. They can get wet on the inside. They're not specifically waterproof, but they were under a little bit of cover, and we dumped the lids before they got too deep, because the lids are sunken in a little bit, and everything worked out pretty well. Nonetheless, most of the paper goods that are in the bins are in some sort of Ziploc bag. That's just a boating habit, even though we're not boating. There's a lot of similar habits that you should adopt. Should is a bad word, but in this case, I'm going to tell you should adopt some of these habits. Extra waterproofing, extra Ziploc bags. It's always a good idea. The mosquitoes came out. That was the bad part. We don't have a good screen set up to go with our airflow yet. I do have a roll of screen cloth, so I'll send you pictures with a future video. I'm going to go ahead and cut out shapes to go in both front windows. They're going to magnet to the outside. That's just how it's going to be, outside of the door frame. And then there's going to be something for the back door. And I don't know how that's going to work yet, because I don't have opening windows. So when you've got the heat, you want a little bit better airflow, and having the whole back door open is just the way to do that, one side or both sides. But I've got to make some sort of screen cloth for it, because the mosquitoes came out like you would not believe as soon as the storm passed. I swear, 1 hour to hatch everything, because everything was dry, and then there were puddles, and half an inch of water is all it takes. And apparently half an inch of water in 2 hours is all it takes, and then boom, mosquitoes. So I got to work on that. I'm not sure how I'm going to do the back. This might be what sells me on one of those strap-on SUV tents. That might be what sells me on it, because that gives you a space. I'm not sure that they work with the barn doors. We don't have a lift gate door, which is what most of them are made for. We have barn doors, and that means that the 2 feet out from the door is just as high as your rain gutter when the doors are open. So you got to kind of work around that. And I don't know how we're working around that yet. If one of the screen tents is tall enough, I might actually rig one of those. But that would not have stayed up last night because of the winds. The Coleman tent did. I know I talked about it in a previous video, handling the wind, but this was a full-on storm. We got hit. We got hit pretty good. And so, that's that. Everything else is going pretty good. Watch your leaks, check your leaks. A couple other pieces of advice is when a storm hits like that, start your engine at some point after, make sure your systems are good. You shouldn't have a leak or a short from water or something, but you never really know. Make sure you've got an idea that your systems are running and that your battery's charged. It's just a good idea, when you're camping out, you want to start your engine every day anyway. So if you hit a storm, just run it for 10 minutes. It's 15 minutes, it's good. Gives you a little peace of mind, gives you something to do. Emotionally, on the storms, you're gonna find leaks. Have towels ready, but don't stress. Okay? Big deal here, don't stress. You are in a storm. This was a coastal storm, not full-on hurricane level, right? It's only 50 miles an hour for a top gust. We did have a circle. We had lightning wall to wall. We had lightning very close. We had lightning very far. It was epic. It was definitely a full-on coastal storm. The hail scared Pirate 3 because it was really loud and it didn't break any glass or anything. It was actually kind of soft hail, like squishy hail. What you have to do emotionally, mentally, when you get in that situation is just ride it out. Just sit down, get comfortable, as comfortable as you can be. Close the doors, close the windows, chill out, watch the storm, talk. If you've got a kitchen that works during the storm, have your hot cocoa or your tea. Just chill out. It's one of the glorious things about this is there are certain times where you have to accept reality because reality is very in your face, and that's what you do. You accept it, you allow it, you surrender to the moment, and you just move on. So hard to do that for so many people in normal life, and I don't know why, but it is. And it's definitely a lesson when you're out living like this. Just give yourself that moment. This is the first one on this trip where I really had to do that, and I've had to do it before, and it's a good thing to remember. It's a good thing to relearn at this point. It's just chill. So that's it. My pirate life goes on. Stay sideways.